Hi, everybody. Trisha and Jonathan are here with the Blue Star Connections. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see everybody coming in droves for our podcast. Thank you all.
I was saying we've been having a lot of storms here, power outages, Wi-Fi glitches, so we're starting a little bit, a few minutes behind. So our topic that we decided on tonight is spiritual warfare, personal stories.
Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm. We have, we have quite a few that we can share.
So let's start from the beginning, right? We'll start. What's the matter?
You did record, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I was checking.
So when was the first time you realized that spiritual warfare was going on? And obviously you had to be on the receiving end, right? Because no one consciously is on the offensive. You can be, but you're not aware that you're doing it. So consciously,
I disagree. I think some people can be, but that's later. That's, spells and things like that.
So we're going to go esoteric at the end of this.
Oh, okay.
Right? And then
So
beginning we're going to go Muggle.
Okay.
Just
got it. Muggle. Okay.
Right? Where we started out. I mean, we're just going to go with stories. Then we'll go esoteric, looking at it from a higher octave.
Got it. Okay. So we're starting with Muggle, physical realm. You go first.
Okay. I started going to a spiritual shop. My dear friend Diane, which is one of my spiritual mothers, owned when I lived in New York. And I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know anything about crystals. I didn't know anything about pendulums. I didn't know anything. But when I walked in, I just knew that's where I wanted to be and where I was going to obtain knowledge that I needed, but I didn't know I needed. I just knew I was in the right place, right? And they were very friendly. Diana was very, very friendly with me. And
she's awesome.
Yes.
She's
and
awesome.
She's very, very talented.
Yes, she's great.
Many generations. Psychic medium. She's been vetted in Casadega, which is not easy, which is the spiritualist capital of the world, if that's what you believe. So she is very talented in the astral. So when you walk into a place and you are open, like I was, right? I believe I open myself up, which people call a Kundalini awakening, or it was a blast off of awareness through my experimentation with drugs, right? So I was way open, and I was feeling everything. I was already a very in the astral feeling person, right? I felt everything since I was a kid. I used to get pains where I would fall over when I would go to fairs or any place where people were drinking. I would just fall over. I would get such pains in my stomach, right? So
wow.
Yeah, I was very, very sensitive.
I knew you were sensitive, but that's really extreme.
Yes, it was a place of gathering of very bad people that were drinking. So they're, it's a very, very bad place for someone that doesn't have any tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on going to my opening, right, I probably was 32, something like that. And so I was very open. And when you're very open and you walk into a place where there's experienced readers and experienced witches or experienced magic practitioners, right, you are walking into a lion's den, right? Which you don't know, but you are pretty much just giving them the keys to your inward knowledge. So that wasn't bad because I was getting cool readings and I was like, oh, this is amazing. How do you know this, right? And then when it turns into someone's having a bad day, or which a lot of witchcraft practitioners do, is they like to just, okay, just because I can screw with you, and I will screw with your astral self, or throw something at you energetically and screw with you. So we'd be doing meditation circles, and I'd ask a lot of questions, and I know I annoy a lot of people with my questions, and I was always the one guy in a group of 13, 14 women that would do meditations, and I was always telepathic, but I never really told anybody, but I would hear, because a lot of times I get confused with my own thoughts, so I would hear them talking inwardly, saying, what is he doing here? Why is he screwing up our circle? Why is this guy here, right? I didn't care, right? I needed to, I knew this is where I needed to be, and nothing was going to stop me. So if there was a all women's circle, all women's group, I was there. So
this was all at Diane's shop.
All at Diane's shop. Yeah.
Oh, so her shop really was like a schoolhouse for you, like a learning place.
Yeah. Yes. It was. Everything is a remembrance, but it was a place where there was a lot of highly skilled people that came through there, and I didn't know what very skilled and not very skilled was, but now that I look back, they were very skilled at traversing the astral, and yeah, so it was just being in their presence was education to me. I learned by osmosis, by just sitting. I'm a listener. I listen and I take in. So
you said you were in women's circles and you could hear people, their thoughts. Did you start to hone in on what was other people and what was yours in that shop?
Yeah, because it wasn't mine. There's a lot of times where I'll get something where I think, like, why am I thinking this about myself? But it's someone else thinking about me, and I'm interpreting it as my own thoughts. Like I'm like, why am I talking about myself? But it's someone else, but it's your own voice, so it's hard to interpret, because you do get those your own personal distressors going through your mind, right? Where you down talk to yourself. So, but
yeah, I get that.
Discernment is not easy when you're very receptive, right? So onward. So a lot of these people were very good at, they use guides, they use protection, right? They built their own egregores, their own, they built them up. They have altars, right? So what I didn't know is that the astral is an ocean, and I was jumping into the ocean, into the most chaotic part, and these women were all experienced sailors in this ocean, and they were just kicking my butt, right? They could have their way with me and screw with me. They could do what they wanted, right? So there was a lot of times I would have to leave the circle because I would get such attacks, right? But it could be their own. It was when we have thought forms, right? And someone's a skilled practitioner, their thought form is going to hurt someone that is open and is just sitting in the astral, right? You're not above it, you're not below it, right? You're almost better off not knowing the astral exists, right? Once you know it exists, you're jumping in the water, right? So once I'm in the water, I'm just pretty much just open to, the whims of whatever is coming in, especially a circle. A circle, you're all these, you're opening up a portal.
It's like spinning. Yeah.
Um.
So you think they weren't consciously attacking you? It was thought forms and there may be astral parts.
Yeah. It was a lot of times. It was the most littlest, frail people, right? They not frail, just you would never think they look like my grandmother. That you would never think they would do anything to hurt you, but inwardly they were a powerhouse of just. No, it was just a powerhouse. This is my land, right? You're stepping into my world. Why are you here? Type of thing. That's what I felt like. But nothing could stop me. Nothing could stop me now, right? I still deal with this, right, to this day. That's when I first started to learn, like, what can I do to help myself? And that's when you're throwing all these crappy tools of take this stone and do this bubble and do everything. I tried everything. I mean, everything. And that was my first, just first step into that pool of protection and what can I do to stop this. And and still to this day, I'm still trying to figure it out. And
you have tools now.
Oh yeah, it just seems, just like Christopher says, it seems the stronger you get, the more powerful your enemies are. So it's just I've just moved. I'm in a comic book, and I just keep moving on to new and fabulous enemies, right? That somehow hate me. There's a lot of people that love me, but they're also just testing my resolve out there. And I love you, and I give you many hugs. What about you?
So I think doing the Catholic school and masses, going to mass so many times, I could see and feel energy in those spaces, and kind of like what you're saying, believe it or not, in some of the church groups. And then I did a series where I went into different denominations, and some of the most, like, I didn't know what it was. You putting words to it, that's what I was feeling from people that were in church, like churches, that if it was like a Bible study or I was in the choir, if someone didn't like what I had to say or thought whatever they thought, I could feel it. I could feel that someone didn't like me, or I could feel that uncomfortableness. Even as a child, I know now that I can feel uncomfortable, like, energy. I'm not telepathic like you, Jonathan, but I can feel like the waves and situations, and I'm wondering if I am telepathic. I just feel like process it differently.
Yeah, it's telepathy is very confusing because
sometimes I'll say, I'll think you're thinking something and he's not thinking that. So it makes me wonder, like, is it coming from somewhere else? Is it coming from my own inner voice? And I feel like it's coming from him or from a client, or at Spirit Fest, I might feel someone pass by and feel something from them, but I still haven't honed in on or trust that that skill.
See, that to me is advanced spiritual warfare. When you don't know where it's coming from, it's not the person you think it is, and it's not you. Where is it coming from? Right? It is in your field trying to just influence your thoughts. Right.
So I'm a very emotional person, and my family growing up, there was all emotional waves, and there was a lot of drinking, like you talked about alcohol. And I would hide under the table at our big gatherings, or there was only one other person in my family that was my age, and if he wasn't at a gathering, I was usually hiding or sleeping, or if we would be out and about, I was a very social child, but sometimes I would just have to hide in a coat rack and just like be in there, and I felt safe. And I know now that that's me, that was me feeling energy, and I could feel safe in there. I think now it's like, I'm telling you, when I went to massage school, I've been kind of oblivious to energy and psychic stuff until I went to massage school when I was about 25, and that's when energy work started. I got introduced to it, and it freaked me out. When people were putting their hands on me, and if it was multiple hands, I would just shut my energy down. Like I would put a wall up, and that was what the feedback was. Wall would go up, and then I would open up, and then the wall would come back down again, because I would get overwhelmed. And to this day, overwhelm is just one of those things. I get like sensory overload, and I'm practicing figuring out where it's coming from, but in the past it was just to shut it down and be very superficial. And I learned to people please, to be like the nicest, sweetest person that was smiling in groups. So that was my way to deflect. That was my way to deflect any energy that was coming my way. Yet as I do Christopher's program, his path, the spiritual teachings, and dropping sandbags and seeing the passive aggressive stuff, or the people pleasing stuff, or the little tactics I would use to like become invisible, or just to have everyone like me so they wouldn't send shit my way, that's not working. It's not authentic. And so I think now it's simply people trolling on Facebook, or sending text messages, or stuff that is their way of putting jabs into the field. That's starting to come up more. And just learning to my learning now is to not be swayed, to be solid in who I am, and not let these warfare waves deter me from my solid path, because I want to be liked. That's always been my thing. And if you don't like me, then I get disturbed. And in the past it was like, how can I change or fix myself so that you'll like me? And just saying it out loud, I'm already saying, like, that sounds so shallow, but I think that, I don't know, I think a lot of people feel that way. Maybe I'm wrong, but being more solid in myself. But alcohol and pot Yeah, college. College is when I really started to open up. And alcohol and marijuana, indulged in both of those. And that just heightened everything. That just heightened everything. And I had to get to a point with alcohol that I quit pretty early on because um, Jonathan talked about the astral. I know we're still in Muggleville, but yeah, it would take me right into the astral, and that overwhelm would hit. And then I would have emotions, and I don't know if they're mine or somebody else's. So yours is thoughts, mine's feelings and emotions.
Yeah, I had it all. I had it all. I had feelings and emotions. Yeah,
all of it.
I had it all. I had a smorgasbord of feelings, and yes, it was not easy. It was not easy growing up that way, because you think that everyone is the same, but that's not true, and no one ever talked to you, especially my family, but they couldn't have talked to me about it anyways because they didn't know what they didn't know, right? I was asking questions. I remember, like, 3 years old, my earliest memory, in a car asking, does anyone else feel like they're just thoughts inside of a body? And they were laughing. They were laughing at me, right? I feel like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory or something, where I'm just in a world that I don't belong, right? That's what I felt, right? I felt from a very young age all these questions I need to be answered. I felt like I was tired of doing this, of whatever this is, whatever physical reality was. I felt like I was tired. I was very tired of whatever this was. I've done this many times, and it's now become annoying, right? I'm in samsara, which I didn't know at the time, but I've been on this wheel for way too long. Get me off this freaking ride is what I wanted.
Javan Mukti.
Yes.
Freedom and sovereignty. I'm thinking how once I went to massage school and then started on my spiritual path, not the religious one, leaving that behind and working with people that channeled archangels, experimenting with channeling myself and mediumship, going to the spiritualist chapel, exploring that.
What was your first experience with channeling?
I think it was, I was at a retreat, and I was working with who I thought was Metatron, but it's really an aspect of me, and then I channeled Metatron.
Okay. My first experience with channeling was drinking with people and seeing my friends and other people's whole faces shift in front of me, right? They would shift, and they'd have this blank stare, and they would be a different personality. Some had accents, some had different speech patterns, but it was just crazy to me how people could shift to another person, right? A whole nother personality. And I didn't know what that was. I just knew it was very strange, and I was always said, all right, I'm out of here once that happened, right? I've seen it, this evilness happen over people's, at a young age, people's, my father, other people's fathers, just get this, they would drink, right, on a Friday night where they're having fun, and then it would get to this point, and they would shift, right? This darkness would go over them, and I would be like, oh, this is not good. I'm stuck here. This is not good, right? And it was just, you knew you were in this, a place you didn't want to be.
So you're saying seeing other people shift, yeah.
I didn't know that was channeling, but that's channeling. That's
you're channeling the alcohol spirit.
Or you're empty, or you're just letting your body, another aspect of you take over, right?
That's true too.
Yeah.
It's putting down the walls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I always feel that like alcohol and drugs can put, holes in the field. Um, I have that same, if we're talking about that, uh, when I was under the dining room table and my family was playing poker and they were drinking, and I could feel and hear my grandfather shifted, like you're saying, and he started getting mean and yelling, and if he would lose, he would, and I could feel the tension in other people start to shift. Or if my aunt was with her boyfriend, if they started, I could feel their energy start to shift. I think that's when I would get under the table, now that we're talking, because I would sit on people's laps and play cards and put the chips in and stuff for them, but then when that it's like you hit that point of no return.
Yeah.
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 Everyone, it's other aspects of them coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. My dog would always come near me and sit near me, or and almost like grab me when it got to that point.
Hmm.
And then I would hear my name, and come here, boy, and I was like, oh no. And I knew that was not a good thing. But it was all preparation for my life today.
Yeah, being working in the school, it's like sensitive kids. I feel like also once I started really doing body work and doing healing work and then starting to explore, the other gifts came online, the clairvoyance and clairaudience, but it's like I tried to look at it, be specific about who I kind of played with, other people, but also looked at it as like childlike discovery. Yet I don't know if that was the best thing. I mean, sure, I had fun with it, like whimsy and fun and talking to the trees and the flowers and working with the different like masters and archetypes like Athena and Merlin, and they would come in the therapy room. But now I'm like, these were just, who was this? Who was this coming in the room? But I don't know if that was, do we need protection? Because
let's still stay in Muggleville. Still in Muggleville. So let's what's the first thing? Okay.
I was told all the time that I had a lot of shit in my field. All the time. So I was still an open vessel, just like sucking in everything. Probably even now. Go ahead. What were you going to shift to?
Yeah, hell yeah, you're open. Yeah, I think I'm probably more open than I ever was, right? Because if you're restricted, you're restricting your Taurus field, right? And you're locking down, right? It's just one.
It's a hard balance.
It sucks.
You want to stay open and circulate, but yet when you have people, well, I was gonna use Spirit Fest as an example, but do you want to talk about something else in Muggleville first?
Yeah. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, magic's not real and really doesn't do anything to you." Well, I'll tell you what, you don't go out and experience things, because I guarantee if you go out and I've somehow have found my way, I must have had past lives in witchcraft, and this is my return to glory, right? Because I ended up in so many places wanting to learn spirituality, but I would be put in a place where there was covens and advanced witchcraft going on, right? And they so I dated somebody that was doing witchcraft, right? And when you're in the astral and you're not above it, right? Now that I know I didn't know what the astral was. I didn't even know. I just thought that was the all. Yeah, Trisha can show. This is
one of Christopher's models, like the physical's here, the astral sets is the next quantum field after the physical. So it's right against.
And so this is
right there.
This is where I thought all things were in the astral, right? In the astral is where I thought all things were, and at the top of the astral was heaven and heaven be known, right? That's where I thought everything was. Yeah,
where we're led to believe
that
that's the end. So that's where we all want to go.
Yes. But in this lovely age that we live in the internet, there's a lot more people that are in the astral, right? There's a lot more people that are not even just in the astral. They're doing Harry Potter-esque. They watch Harry Potter maybe way too many times, right? And now they're on some
witchcraft,
someplace just learning basic witchcraft and using it on people, right? And if a person's
just playing around.
Yeah,
spells.
I say this all the time. Years, 7, 8 years plus of being in this world, right? So I've seen every new person that comes in and wants to learn witchcraft. There's two things they always wanted. It was either love or revenge, right? So love or revenge was always the thing they wanted to learn, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy, right? And A, you can't make someone fall in love with you, right? B,
and it always backfires.
Yeah, it's just and using tactics to hurt somebody it's going to hurt you in the next life, this life. It's not going to help you get to Javan Muti, right? It's just you're throwing stuff at reflections of yourself.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't mean it doesn't affect you, right? I mean, when you're in the astral and you're in the ocean, like I said before, and you're swimming around the ocean, you're like, oh, this is great, right? And then someone's like, oh, let me pop his floaties and make him thrash around in the ocean, right? This is magic with intention, right? All things with intention, right, are possible, especially when that person is in the astral. If you're in the astral, you're susceptible to the ebbs and flows, right? That's where polarity is its strongest, right? So polarity is when you have something happy, you're going to have the opposite. You're going to have something sad, right? So you're in this wave pool, right? And when someone, all really what magic is showing you what you need to work on, right? But if you were like me and you were at the point of, I don't want to be here anymore, this world sucks, and I was drinking and I was still doing drugs, I was susceptible to suicidal thoughts. I was susceptible to drinking more, right, and being just sad. It's these you're overwhelmed with these thoughts of your own inner demons, right? So if you have a slight sugar problem or something minor, it's going to be magnified, just like it does with eclipse or a moon, full moon. Everything just gets magnified to 100-fold.
Now, if I've had some experience where some people that practice witchcraft were throwing stuff at me, and it's almost like now I can feel like an agitation. It depends how strong and gifted they are and what it is, but a lot of times to me it looks like very knotted energy that gets tangled up, and it's hard. It can be hard to work with, and a lot of times it's just like this incessant agitation in my field. And so those are two ways two warfare tactics that I've felt,
Yeah.
specifically from people that practice variations of witchcraft. There's people that don't. I don't know. What have you experienced with? There's not all people that do witchcraft.
No, it's not even
do stuff like
but
that.
it's not even witchcraft
No.
at the point where you're like, okay.
They really were.
I know they really were, and it's.
But not everyone's a witch that does spiritual warfare, and not all witches do spiritual warfare. I know many people that practice witchcraft that really just grow their gardens and make their herbs, and so I just want to say that. Yeah.
And there's people out there that we experience. We're giving talks in front of people nowadays, and I can feel their just anger, right? And I can feel their anger, and it's being projected at me, right? That is the same thing as witchcraft, right? It's projected thought forms coming at you, right? And it's like, I don't want to sound like, I hate spiritual uppityness, spiritual, what's the word I'm looking for? Spiritual hierarchy, where I'm saying I do things other people don't, but not a lot of people get to experience what we experience of being in a room of probably 40 highly gifted psychics, 20 different healers, right? These were all very gifted people, right? So this is where you're going to say, I'm the best, and this is what I'm doing is the best thing ever, right? And we're sitting over here banging tuning forks, and we're pissing people off, right? To no end, right? It's just
the sound tables going.
The sound tables are going through the whole arena. We're just pissing people off, right? And it just starts building, right? And then all of a sudden I'll get like a boom. I'll get this hit in my head. Like I always get like a zap to my head, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, here it starts, right? So I start my method nowadays. It's just chanting. I chant, but it's still there. So I gotta do empty, right? Wind in the tree, right? But when you're working on somebody, right, and you have to concentrate, you're talking about this is not an easy thing to do, right? This is trying to do the backstroke with one arm type of thing, right? It's not easy. That's what we have to deal with now. And then I've been a very closed person in the realm of the internet, right? I'm in general, I'm just an enigma. I try to be an enigma because I always found out the more I give people firepower about me, the more it just comes back, right? But now I have to be out there on the internet, and I have to talk in front of people, and I was always the quietest kid, and I never talked, right? It was just better that way. I like to listen. Talking always got me attention I didn't want. I would feel people's. That's when it was almost like I'd say words, and it would come right at me, and I was like, whoa, right? It was. I didn't know what it was, but now I know what it is, and now that I'm out there more, right? We're getting more and more with the good. We're getting the polarity of the hate of people saying, what we're doing is, especially when they find out that we don't believe in guides and angels, right? People start pacing back and forth, pacing past our tables, right? These are other practitioners, pacing, right? And I can feel their anger, right? You're talking about these people are there to help other people, but their anger is at us, right? If we're busier than they are, they're pissed off that we're busier. If people, we give off, with Christopher, Trisha, and I, we give off a lot of energy. We have Mr. Light, Mr. Sound, Mr. Sidian, all sitting on the table. We're just lighting that place up, right? So people are talking about it, and people are feeling, even practitioners. So we're stirring up pots everywhere. So people were walking past, and I kept feeling it, and I was like, oh my God, this last show, I had to get up, right? Or I was already working on somebody. I said, Trisha, hold on. And I went and I saw the person because I could hear their thoughts. And I said, can I have a hug? And I just hugged him. And I just hugged him and just tried to show him my heart, right? Because that's what gets misinterpreted. My heart is the biggest and most loving thing. I will help anybody, anytime, anywhere, right? But I get misinterpreted, right? Because what Trisha says, I guess sometimes is true, is that I disrupt people's fields, right? When your energy disrupts, I am I've always been that person where I can just find the splinter in people's foot, right? Okay. Somehow I am you can. Would you think that you have?
But that's also alchemy. That's also when you disrupt, it's that discord, right?
Yeah.
It shakes things up to get, then that's when things change. That's when things release and then have to find a new harmony at another octave, but it's uncomfortable. And some people respond to that feeling, that energy, especially if they're not on. Now, if they're on our table, they know that it's going to be about healing, but someone that's not expecting it.
And a lot of people
to it sometimes
believe that they can. A lot of people that go through these shows believe, just like you watch someone singing on stage, I can do that, right? I get a lot of that. I got people coming by. Are you certified in sound? And I, of course, me being me, and I said, yes, I went to Sound University and I have my doctorate there. And they believe me for a second and then hates me the next because they know that I'm being sarcastic. But when I do tell them that Christopher is beyond the best teacher for anyone, and he is sitting there next to me, and if he approves, then I don't really need any approval anywhere, right? He's beyond the apex of knowledge on sound. So I don't really need a certificate on my wall, right? Which is just silly. It's just a silly thing. But people love to, point out your flaws, right? And in a world of just everything and all, there is no linear solutions to most things.
I think my solution, but it's got to be, I have to find another octave for me for Spirit Fest, because I still am getting very tired the second day. First day is usually good. I feel like we're in like a bubble, like a sphere of safety. I don't know if that's the right word, where if we have people come on our table, they come into our space. And it almost like tunes out all of that. I wonder too if you're taking the brunt of it, like if people are sending us stuff, if you're intercepting it in some way, because I feel pretty safe. Occasionally I will feel like I'll notice if I'm working on a client, because I do hands-on, I'm sitting a lot, and I'll be like, like this on the table, and I'll look around and something catches me, or I keep getting my attention drawn to a vendor that's like close, or a person that keeps walking by, and my awareness is getting pulled to that person. And sometimes it's a positive thing, like to see, wow, they're really doing wonderful things there. Like, oh, look at that beam of light, or look, they're doing their craft and it's beautiful. And sometimes when we talk afterwards, the person that I'm like almost feeling that, he'll say, they sent, this energy. So I still have my training wheels on, I feel like, when it comes to spiritual warfare. I'm still a bit naive, and I'm learning every day, and not being a victim to it, but just bring that awareness. But I don't want to go into the whole new agey, and that's the astral too. Like, oh, I got to put my shields of protection around me, and I got to, these are energy vampires that are coming after me, and I don't want to have that attitude either. So if I'm in my presence and have my field strong, technically that shouldn't affect me, or the wind in the trees is easier. So I still am getting swayed. I still am getting affected. So
yeah, a lot of I personally I'm up to here with it. Lately, it's just been in our face, right, of people texting us and harassing us, right, and telling us that it's just anything is made up in their own minds to give them a reason to be able to do something towards us. So that gives them a way out of their own karma to say, oh, I think you guys charge too much, or you shouldn't be. It's just silly things, right?
Or don't call yourself this if you're doing this, and but in the past I would have just said, what, it would have hurt because the person is displaying that they don't like me, right? That's like this old superficial stuff. And then the more evolved is, that's their issue. Is there any grain of truth to what they're saying? No. Let it go. That's their issue. Let them stew in it. I'm not going to react to it. If there is a grain of truth in what they're saying, it may not all be true, but if there's a little grain of truth in there, it's up to me then to discern, like, is this something that I need to look at?
Yeah.
Is this something I need to change or be aware of?
Yes. And another thing is the Christopher being a staple at Spirit Fest, and everyone loves Christopher and going to Christopher, right? And this is the second show. I worked at Spirit Fest helping other people, right, for years, right? So I knew a bunch of people, but I never was a practitioner. So Christopher is like, oh, I'm doing this apprentice program. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm gung ho, right. And the second show we did, Christopher says, Jonathan, I have to go to a wedding, and can you run?
To officiate, it was his daughter's.
Yes, it was perfectly okay. But it's the second show, right, that I've ever done. Can you run the show by yourself, right? Me, being me, right? I'm gonna, hell yeah, I can do that, right? I know Spirit Fest in and out, right? And I did. We had 7 chairs on the side, and they were all had a button on. We were busy till night, from the minute it started till the end, right? So Deborah was there. Deborah was helping too.
That's right. But I was over off doing my thing.
Yeah. But you want to talk about
still rocking. Like, people were standing around just like watching.
Yes. I was talking about ebbs and flows. I was at my peak. I was like, because everyone just recognized me as helping, right? I was like, I help people move the chairs, right? I would do anything just to learn. I would help people move. I did everything just to be in people's energy. Osmosis, I was just trying to be in that energy, right? And when I was there running Christopher Tim's tables, Jonathan, right, the guy that helps move people's stuff, is running his table, people were throwing, all the other practitioners were like, what in the hell is going on? What does he think he is? Right? I could feel it. Everyone was just, right? People wouldn't help me at the end. We had to load the whole car by ourselves, and normal people that would help me weren't helping me, and I'm like, oh, what is going on? Right? It was jealousy, right? It was pure jealousy, right? I don't want to have an ego of saying, but I earned that place, right? I worked not getting paid how many places just to learn. This is my passion, this is my everything, and people cannot take it away from me. But you also just, want to just, it took so long to climb up this hill. You just want somebody to say, good job. A lot of people did, but there were still a lot of people that were very, very just, jealous. And they were pissed off that I killed it. That pissed them off. That was the part that really pissed them off, is that I was just ready. I was ready. Put me in, coach. Let's do this. That's what I said, right? And I kicked ass. Bing bong.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe some people, they were jealous. They were like, wow, it's, sometimes when people are looking up to you, like, I want to heal that way, or I wish I was working Christopher's.
It was my second show. They were like, what?
Yeah, but they didn't know that. Some people didn't know that,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, some people, they want what you have, and jealousy is what comes out. I'm not saying it's okay. There also might be people that, was there anyone that said good job? I know I did. But anyone that was like, you did a good job.
Yeah, there were a lot of people.
Carried it.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that said good job. But a lot of people didn't say anything and didn't, just ignored, what I just did, right? It was like, because the Spirit Fest is like, when you're busy 2 days straight, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's time to close everything up, and you're like, whoa, where was I?
Still spinning, yeah.
Where was I?
Yeah. It's intense. It is intense. I know, like, there's a lot of really cool stuff that happens. Like, it's like meeting like a whole bunch of people, and for me, getting my hands on them. For you, it's like tuning them or watching them shift. And now, like, we've been doing it together for a year and a half. And it's like we have repeat people. We have people coming back 3-4 times. We have people driving over from the other side of the state to get sessions. So now we're seeing that. And so the rewards of that is like awesome. That, to me, that's the bread. That's like the juice for me. Yes, having that variety of people, but now like people valuing and telling others and bringing people up to the table or over to Christopher's table, because they're having such, it's not just, oh, we're waving tuning forks over them.
Yeah.
Like, they are having experiences.
And anyone could go tune somebody in a closed room just with one person. Anyone could do that. Mistakes can happen. No one even knows. The person's probably sleeping or their eyes are closed. I go do it in front of, you're talking about a crowd of 30 people watching you, right? And then people just walking by, right? So how many people go through there? 6,000, something like that?
What, in the
Spirit Fest? Yeah.
I don't know if it's thousands.
It's not thousands?
In the hundreds.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. But still, and some are bigger than others, But one thing, were you done?
No. So when you're out there, there's a lot of people that do, which I understand. You want to get a healing. You don't want everyone to see. So a lot of people have tents, but then you don't know what's going on, right? You don't know what they're doing in there. It's that energy is closeted, right? Which means it's just bouncing off the tent and bouncing back, right? So if you're pulling out distant energy, where is it? It's just a smorgasbord of I don't know, right? And I never liked it. I've always liked Christopher's method of being out in the open and saying it's like you're at a hibachi and the guy's flipping his onion into his hat type of thing, right? You're out there just saying, look at me, I'm shining.
It's a performance element to the sound tables and the tuning forks and the sound energy dynamics with the painting and the pulling and
doing two people at the same time with both hands. It's like it's an art form.
And then the two when he and I are working together, a lot of people like to see that. They like to see a couple coming together and working side by side. A lot of people really love that aspect. So it's there's an element of something to watch, a performance, or just the lots of visuals.
Well, you're talking about people that so like I don't know,
all kinds of attention is what we're getting at. It draws attention.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. So we get people that for you to drop in when you're out in the open is hard enough, right? But we get people that drop in and release, right? We had 2 women put their legs up and give a birth to whatever it was, a release. Trisha says it's a part of a somatic release. I've never heard of it, but it was people I've had with Christopher. We had 4 tables running at the same time, or 3. Was it 3 or 4? And we were all doing 3 level 3s, and they were all doing having what you would call an exorcism, right? Full on body just convulsions and having to cough up stuff right on in front of everybody, right? Staying calm and just knowing the technique is just going to get through. That's another thing. It's almost being a doctor. When people start having, convulsions or any problems, you just got to know what to do. You can't freak out. You got to stay calm and stay the course, right? You freak out, everything falls apart, right? Everyone's going to say they don't know what they're doing, right? You're in front of everybody. So that's, I've always been very calm in those situations, but I could see a younger version of me freak out, like, what do I do here? Like me dropping the ice cream at my first job, like, get to the machine lever got stuck in ice cream. That type of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now we talked about that. We can talk about
what about ghosts? Yeah, that's not really spiritual warfare. I don't know. I just remember going to Casadega, not to put Casadega down, but there's a lot that goes on in the astral. The astral of Casadega is packed full.
Yeah.
Like the egregore of Casadega, it's so heavy. It's just, to me, it's so heavy. And so I couldn't go there. After a while, I couldn't go there. I've only been there a few times, maybe 4 or 5. But there's some places where it's so concentrated. I know there's some cities, like New Orleans, I felt that a bit, Savannah, some of the older cities up north, like Philadelphia, there's certain areas of that, New York, LA, there are patches that it's just like condensed psychic activity and just so much.
Yeah, there's tons
flipping around.
St. Augustine, there's like that.
Yeah, St. Augustine. But like also in the waves though, there's beautiful energy. There's like culture and color and music and the art and architecture. So in the midst of, in those same areas, there's also higher octaves. Like there's these. these zones of the city or of the space. Same with Spirit Fest. There's some really cool stuff happening there.
Yeah.
In the midst of all the astral.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, I don't know.
Then there's I was talking to Christopher about this. There's the tricks of getting to a place of complacency, right, where you think you've reached somewhere, right? Just like me wanting my flowers for having a good weekend and fulfilling my goal, right? I should be proud of myself, but if I'm too proud, it'll come back in my face, right? It'll all come in saying, if I say, oh, I'm the best tuner there ever was, right? And if I listened to everyone saying, how great I was, I would never go anywhere. I would just stay in the same place. I would stay at that rest stop. Recently, I told Chris, I was like, Christopher, I had my manta ray, because Christopher tells a story about how he has tons of stories. He saw a UFO in the forest somewhere and crop circle. He has great stories, right? I have few, but great stories, right? I'm working my way up. But saw a manta ray jump out of the water. That's amazing, right? A manta ray is just the most beautiful creature that very few people even get to witness, right? And he said he jumped out of the water and jumped back in. He goes, I don't think anyone saw it but me, right? And I was like, oh, that's cool. I believe you, Christopher. So I was driving home last month, and I was with Nova in the car, and we come around the corner, and there was this huge predator bird, right? And it was brown, and it looked just like a bald eagle, right? And it had a snake in its mouth, right? And I have this tattoo on my arm of a golden eagle, right, with a snake hanging out of his mouth, which represents so many things: polarity, good, evil, right? The physical and the upper, right? The upper aroma, the jellyfish. It's both. It's polarity, yeah. Right? It's the battling the physical demons, right, and the physical illusions, right, to reach Samsara, right? So I'm like, holy cow, right? And then it took off, and I'm like, oh, that's not a condor. I think that is a golden eagle, right? It had white marks underneath its wings, and I'm like, I swear to you, that's golden eagle. Then it flew around the corner, right in front of our house, had the snake in its mouth still, and then flew off, right? And then I followed it, and I was watching in the air. I'm like, I'm telling you, that is rare to see a golden eagle, right? But it's possible, especially in Florida. We see bald eagles all the time. But that was my manta ray. And then I was telling Christopher, I was happy, but then I was like, this is the demiurge, right? This is what Christopher talks about, the demiurge, and the tricks to make you believe that you're somewhere when you're not even there. Because if you believe that you've reached somewhere, you're going to sit in your own stew of you're going to go out of the middle way. You're going to go to, if you're too happy, you're still in the astral, right? You're feeling that emotion. So you're just being susceptible to being hit again, right? Being too happy and complacent, right? So I was like, I was happy, but then I was like, okay, stay calm, Jonathan. This is only one golden eagle. I'll see many in my lifetime, and it was cool. But it's you got to act like you've been there, just like they say in sports, act like you've been there before, right? You got to be, calm in both. You can't be calm just when bad things are happening. You be calm when good things are happening. Doesn't mean you can't be happy, but you got to be centered, especially if you're in the pools of the astral, like we are at all times, right? We're in a battlefield. So if you're not training like one of the famous quotes by Jonathan is, it's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener at war, right? He was a great poet, I think. Great philosopher.
Yourself?
Yes. Since all of you are listening out there, yes, it was me. No, I've read it somewhere. It's from some Zen book. I will not take credit for that, but it's a great quote, right? Because you think about the quote is being a warrior, right, which is a samurai, a warrior in the garden, and you're tending your garden, but you're training every day. You're a Shaolin monk, right? But you're still, you can still make a mean garden, right? Your petunias are glowing, right? You're just a great gardener and a great warrior. But you send a great gardener, you send Aunt Flo, right? She's a great gardener, but you send her to war, you're going to have trouble, right? Aunt Flo ain't going to do shit.
Unless some of those plants are poisonous.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And you can send her in and put it in their tea and shit.
Man, that's Aunt Flo with the passive-aggressive. Yes. I can see that winning.
They say that poisoning is a woman's thing.
Yes.
It's mostly women that poison because of that. Yeah. It's very passive.
That was Kill Bill. That was the famous thing. Kill Bill. He trained all women warriors, right? And then he was a mean teacher. Mm-hmm. And he would make people do the 1-inch punch, and their hands were swollen, and then he'd make them eat with chopsticks, and they couldn't do it. And he goes, if you're going to use your hands, eat on the floor like a dog. And he'd throw the food on the rice on the floor. And the next time they ate, she poisoned them. And he goes, you are a dog. That's what he said.
So Aunt Flo. But yeah. I forgot what I was going to say.
We were talking about...
Yeah. Warriors.
To be in we were talking about not being too happy about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and see, I think yes, to not get too excited but to share it, to share the story of what you saw, which you did. When I got home, you're like, Trish, this is what I saw. It anchors it into the reality, but also it is a special thing. Like, it's good. I think it's good to recognize when something significant happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just to let it pass by like it's, oh, ho-hum,
Yes.
That was, what did I say? I'm like, that was your message. That was for you. No one saw that.
I know.
It's like the manta ray. No one saw that. I've had messages in nature, many, that it's like, this is special.
Yeah. You're around me. Magic happens all around you. It happens all the time. It's just a thing that happens around Christopher, but it's a matter of noticing it, that people don't notice it, right? Well, I'm very perceptive. I'm very quiet, but I listen to everything. I keep a lock and key in here, and I just absorb. I'm an absorber of information. I absorb all things, and I have great recall, right? When people think, oh, Chauncey, you're not listening, I'll go, boop, 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 right there, and they're like, oh, okay, never mind, right? And just because we're quiet, they think you're not participating, but that's not the case. It's more of sometimes you just can't talk because not 3 people can talk at the same time. So there's always got to be someone that's quiet, right? And that's okay with me. But now I've been forced to talk in front of people and talk in front of millions of people on these podcasts, and it's just I'm getting much better at it. All my millions of fans out there, thank you.
And you're getting the workshops we do at Spearfest and the sound baths and all the different events we're doing.
Yeah.
At first you were really nervous about doing it. Yeah, it's like second nature.
Yeah. Or teaching Christopher. Christopher is very good at getting me to do, at getting other people to do. But that's why I hate this. The thing that sparked this whole talk today was spiritual bullies, right? And people bullying you and don't know your whole story, right? And and just a lot. The thing about spirituality, the people are the outcasts of society, because society is full of just people in the matrix, and if you're trying to figure out how to get out of the matrix, you're an outcast. So you were shunned and probably made fun of and talked down to. So when Christopher was like, Jonathan, you're gonna do a talk on level 3 in front of me, I'm like, whoa! I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean I'm gonna do this, right? And to get, people don't understand. I didn't even. I got letters sent home to school. Jonathan doesn't talk, right? He doesn't talk to anybody. So for me to talk in front of whatever 15 people at Christopher's classes was hard for me, right? It's not easy for me to do that. So people need to think twice before trying to shut people down and make them, make it hard on them. The more you try to build people up and get them to be their best self, that's you. You're helping you become their best self, right? When you're trying to trip them up and, so you can get ahead, that's not going to get you anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You're just going, it's just silly to me. And it's just, it's one of those things that I got to work on, because bullying makes me, I look like I'm a bully, just like Nova looks like she would bite people. She looks like a tank. I look like I'm a bully because I'm 6'3". I have a presence to me, but I am a very caring and loving person. So it's when someone tries to trip people up and make people screw up or try to get ahead by screwing people, it drives me crazy, which puts me right back in the astral. Right? But I don't know, it just drives me crazy. It does. It drives me crazy where people don't know where you came from and the work you put in, and they're thinking I just showed up and I'm Christopher's apprentice. Hell no. I've been working for years doing this. My whole life. I've been doing this my whole life. If I didn't know I was still doing it. Years I was doing this. Lifetime. Every reading, every guy. Oh, you've been a healer for this lifetime. Well, yeah. It's just who I am,
Mhm.
It's who I always will be, and beepity boop boops. Hashimo to all you people in that jazz.
Is the beepity boop boops referencing the noises I was making during 2020?
Yeah.
We were watching a show and it had this annoying little
Yeah, it was
jingle.
like a stay tuned type of thing. Like,
and then I'm just wondering how the house going so. Well, all right. We're getting close to the time, 8:51, so we could probably wrap it up.
Does anyone have any questions out there? Oh, let's say, no.
Okay.
There's no one here. I knew that, but
we have a listener.
Mike's here.
Mike. Thank you for being here, Linda. We know you're probably working. All right.
Yes. We thank all people at all times, in all dimensions, in all aspects, all reflections. Thank you, and we love you. And please,
wind through the trees.
Please,
middle way.
Put yourself in other people's shoes. Please.
And if you get, jolted, really practice the middle way, like you were saying.
Yes. And sometimes
it's practice. Yeah. Like I've not been doing well with it. I'm practicing.
Yes. I have passion for Christopher's teachings and the Blue Star Mystery School, which has which when I grasp onto something and I have a passion for it, I will fight like no other. I am a warrior, right? So sometimes I become that spiritual a-hole, where I'm looking. I get mad when people don't know exactly the teachings, but languaging is very, very important, and knowledge is very important, right? Just like the text in the Bible being misinterpreted, right, and rewritten. There's certain things that are the truth, and the truth misguided or misrepresented is not going to help anybody, right? That's what I get mad at, is that because I was at the other point, that's why I get mad at my previous self, my younger self. I'm still learning, so will always be a student, right? But I get mad at myself if I'm not languaging. I get to talk to Christopher all the time. If I'm languaging something off and I'm like, oh, no, that's not correct, I get mad, right? It's almost, okay, I got to get better, right? I'm trying to better myself, right? If I'm not bettering myself, this doesn't grow. And for me, the only way to grow these teachings is to be the best I can be, and let me and Trisha and Christopher shine. Let Christopher get the respect he deserves, right? Because he's been doing this for 30 plus years, and this is the time. If there was any of the time to show the truth about what people are doing and what the astral is and what they can become, it's now. So that's why it has to be strict. And I had to say that because I know people in the Blue Star Mystery School love me so much, and I have to let them know.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you, and tune in. Mondays and Wednesdays are podcasts with the Blue Star Ministers, and then Tuesday is Christopher's Day. So tune in, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.
Ciao.
You go. I don't.
Oh, hold on. Beep boops.